Good evening and welcome back to the Dominance Academy. I'm your host, Mr. Justin. And today we're going to be getting into recognizing submission, because it's certainly something that's of a bit of a mystery. And today it's almost like a submissive woman is a bit of a urban myth. Like, these bitches out here, they don't know how to submit. Of course they do. It's built into the feminine core. It's part of the feminine core to be part of a submissive energy. It's part of the balance of the universe. It's the yin yang. It's the whole bit. So we're going to talk a little bit about what to recognize, what to look out for, and what behaviors, characteristics, traits, things of that nature to look out for. And yeah, so we're working on that. So I've been absent for a little while. Pardon my absence. Been working on some things for the business, writing my book, and just taking a lot of my energy. But here we are. So, and to accompany the lecture, I've got my guide here, the 6 levels of submission. We're only going to be talking about like probably the first and second as it applies to the lesson. So welcome to class. Pull up your chair, sit up straight, and we'll get into it. So, how to know she's submissive? So we're going to talk about this in the sense that most guys don't really know what to look for, what's out there, because in their minds and in their eyes, all they're getting is nonsense that they see from social media, which are just heated, very contentious platforms. Okay, just know this, that social media is not, it's ironic, but it's not there to actually connect us. It connects us only in terms of function, but not actual connection, not actual human connection. It's been a long time since friending someone actually was a friend, right? Or following someone actually meant true following. It's just content and emotion driven. And in that, there's a lot of discourse around men and women being at odds with one another. And they're both pointing multiple fingers, and it reminds me of that funny Spider-Man meme where they're all standing in a circle pointing at one another. And this doesn't work, obviously. Okay. So the thing that a lot of guys are looking for is not real submission, because they don't really even know what it looks like, right? Maybe in their imagination, or maybe it's some sort of strange, convoluted form of it that they've seen in porn. But that doesn't really capture submission, right? A woman can be submissive and be a quadriplegic more than any girl who can kneel and take a spanking, right? Because it has something to do with the spirit, the makeup of her character, her psychology. And there's some studies that show that there's like a gene for it, all right? But I won't get into the science stuff. But what guys are really looking for, but they don't realize it, that they're looking for a costume, right? They're looking for these like overt symbols, like the quiet girl in the corner, the one who says the word submissive somewhere in the first conversation, and they miss the real thing entirely. And because the real thing doesn't announce itself, it's something that responds to you. Right? It's not something that's verbal that she kind of declares on her dating profile or something like that. I mean, they might, but that's not a definitive marker. Okay, it's behavioral, and that's the whole distinction, right? And almost nobody teaches it this way. So that's what we're going to be looking into tonight. So what we're actually looking for is not a personality type; it's an orientation. Okay. It's how she moves in relation to male strength, male authority, and direction when it's actually present, when it's something she can really feel, right? Not some sort of like conceptual idea or some sort of erotic or emotional pull, okay, or a fantasy. So quiet women can be nowhere close to submissive. Loud, confident women can be exactly it. So temperament is just the thing that's operating on the surface. Polarity is the thing that's underneath. All right. So there's an important marker that a lot of guys overlook, and women with real submissive polarity, they will actually test you. She'll push a little, okay? She'll disagree, she'll resist, create some sort of small friction. And you're not really supposed to take it personally. And if you do, that's a sign that you're not him, okay? Because you were easily moved off your square by just the tiny movements of a little girl. And she's like, how could this possibly be daddy? How could this possibly be sir? Who stumbles and guffaws and, those in those movies, like maybe like old British movie with fat, like white guy with the monocle and the mustache. And he's like, and his mustache starts fluttering when he can't like understand how someone is behaving. He's like, I never, right? It's like if some little girl can do that to you and she's like, he's not the dude. How could he possibly be the dude? All I did was say no, or I don't want to, or whatever, right? But it's your job really to not take it personally. It's not really about you yet. It's her nervous system checking to see whether you're real before she lets her guard down. Because like, think about the destruction that would happen if every girl let their guard down for every guy. Like we all know, I know that not every guy is the dude. Not every guy can handle a submissive woman, right? Like I wrote just a brief question in my Substack. What's it say? Something about if you were faced with a girl who gave you like her complete and utter, unadulterated submission, would you be able to handle it? Would you even know what to do with it? I don't think so. Where is it? A bunch of people liked it. But yeah, that's basically the idea. Right, here it is. Okay, so most often, men most often desire a submissive woman, right? And submissive is in quotes. And I'd like you guys to pause and imagine for a moment a girl so devoted, so committed, so irrevocably obedient, there isn't even a shred of doubt the size of a human hair about you. Could you handle that kind of woman in that kind of state? I mean, she's like literally goo, all right? Are you prepared? Do you know what to do? Are your impulses going to be guided by or guiding your behavior? Surely satisfying those impulses will get old. What next? Do you have foresight? I think most guys, when it comes to wanting submissive women, is like that scene in The Dark Knight from 2008 where Heath Ledger is playing the Joker. And he's in the hospital there, and the Joker says, do I really look like a guy with a plan? You know, I just do things. The mob has plans. The cops have plans. You know what I am? I'm a dog chasing cars. I wouldn't know what to do if I caught one. You know, I just do things. And that's I think that's my assessment of guys when it comes to submissive women. They talk about it, they want it, just like their dogs and like, oh man, I want that car. But if they ever actually caught the car, ever actually caught the submissive woman, and he's got her in his teeth, he's like, wait a second, I wasn't planning for this. I didn't expect this to happen. I'm completely unprepared. I don't know what to do next. Maybe I'll just get my dick sucked. Okay. After a couple hundred dick suckings or however many it takes, you're bored. Okay, you fuck her this way, upside down, this hole, that hole. Okay, you're done. You've done all the funky BDSM acts. You're done. Now what? Is that all her submission is for? That's what you were chasing after? That's where your strong desire was about? Just kink? It gets old. What are you there for? You don't even know the other half of the yin yang. You don't even know what to do. Yet you're beating your chest saying, we're the submissive women. Women are too bold. They're too strong. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I would say more than half of those women who you're so opposed, who you see as too assertive or too masculine or whatever, they have the most submissive girl just waiting inside, waiting to melt. But you wouldn't know how to handle that either, most likely. So going back to the testing, okay? Like I said, it's her nervous system checking to see whether you're the real guy, the real thing, okay? Before she decides to let her guard down. And the test isn't the information, okay? What happens after the test is the real information. If she pushes and you hold still, you're steady, you're unreactive, watch what happens next. Genuine submissive women will often soften right there in front of you. And I just want to check something real quick. Okay, yes. So yeah, genuine submissive women will soften. They'll soften right there in front of you. Her body language will change. Her voice drops half a register. She gets a bit quieter, more attentive, softer, more present with you instead of performing at you. Okay. So I'll take the moment, since I mentioned performance, and we'll jump to the diagram. Unfortunately, I don't think I can zoom in on this, even if I expand it. I don't know if you guys will be able to see this. But the first one here, level 1, performative submission. This submission exists as a role rather than a state. The individual adopts submissive behaviors situationally, but retains their full internal autonomy at all times. Power is played with, it's not actually yielded to, but it looks like it is. Okay, that's why it's performance, right? When the magician puts on a performance, it's like, wow, it really looks like he cut his hand off. He didn't actually cut his hand off. It just looks that way. It looks convincing. Okay. So that's performative submission. And to be fair, some guys, some girls, they're perfectly fine with that. They're like, I don't care what the reality is. It looks like a duck, sounds like a duck. It must be a duck. And if it's not, I'm not even going to dig. I don't care. This is fun. And that's totally cool. It really, that's fine. Okay. But it's good that you just understand what it is and not think it's something else. So here the submission is event-based or just in the bedroom. Okay. Compliance is conditional. Identity remains untouched. And dominance is an experience. The dominant is an experience provider only. And it usually satisfies curiosity, fantasy, novelty, kink. It's not to be misunderstood as some kind of lasting polarity, right? So after you have this experience, you don't go running to your boys and be like, hey, this woman submitted to me. Maybe she did in action, but her spirit, she hadn't. And most likely. Okay, I mean, unless you really know what you're doing. And in which case, it's not something that happens immediately. So a woman without that orientation does something different. She escalates or she checks out. Your steadiness doesn't land as a relief for her. It either invites more pushing or it doesn't move her at all. The submissive woman gets something like a small charge out of discovering that you didn't fold. And that charge is real. And it's visible if you're paying attention instead of trying to win this kind of exchange. Okay. Let's see here. So now you want to watch how she moves through decisions that don't matter very much. So you know what they say, pay attention to the details, right? The small things. Okay, it's not saying like, oh man, she was on her knees and sucked my dick. Like, practically any girl can do that, right? That doesn't mean she's submissive. She just submitted her mouth. She submitted her knees to the floor. Like, that's not being submissive, right? So, so keep around decisions that don't really matter. And does what? Hold on a second. All right, so so does whatever you want come out of her sounding genuine, light, almost relieved? Like when they say like whatever you want, okay? Or so you got to like pay attention to the tone, to the register, to the angle of it, all right? Or does it come out flat? Does it come out a little resentful? Does it come out a little sarcastic? Like she's handing you something she'd rather have kept? Right? Does she ask your opinion on things that don't strictly need one and then actually listen to the answer? When you're walking somewhere together, does she fall in beside you or half a step behind without either of you narrating what to do? Or does she walk ahead of you and let you catch up? Right? So there's these small things, okay? None of this is really dramatic, and that's really not the point of it. The woman oriented toward following doesn't need the small decisions to belong to her. She lets you hold the pace and the direction, and there's no real production in it. It's just her natural yielding, her natural softness, deferring to just your presence. It could be simply just how she walks next to you, but it's also listening to the tone, is listening to how she responds in the underlying register of the words that she's using. And you might think, wow, that's just paying attention to too much detail. It certainly can be for some people, but that's how this is. These are very subtle personality characteristics because it's not something that is very showy, right? Like if you think about like the nature of submission, it's not a showy characteristic, okay? Much like you would see, say, like a pro dom, like DOMME, they are much more out there, right? They're much more of a showboat, more showing off the ego, the pride, the bravado, right? The direct opposite is the case for someone who's in the class of submission. There's what's to show. Right? And what personality would actually want to show it off? So therefore, it's something you have to pay attention to small cues and how they react and respond to certain things in order to understand what kind of person they actually are. All right. So, but here's where I want to kind of slow down, because this is where a lot of guys get fooled. All right. Some women do all of this, not from polarity, but also from a position of anxiety, people pleasing, conflict avoidance, a learned habit of disappearing their own preferences to keep things smooth. And it looks almost identical from a distance, but it's not the same thing at all. So this sort of thing occurs when someone has developed what's known as an anxious attachment style, okay, where they're on edge a lot and they become hyper aware of other people's reactions. So this is something that could occur in a household where there's a lot of tension, where there's high expectation for certain behaviors, or the outcome of punishment is really quick and severe and can happen almost any time. So that will put somebody on alert. It will sharpen their nerves and will make them extend, kind of like like the sci-fi shows when they say like, oh, we're increasing range on the sensors. That's what they do. They end up having their nervous system conditioned so it extends further, and they can start like reading people from a distance. They start reading tension. They start reading threat. And instead of facing it or whatever, they learned to adapt, and they learned to be the good girl, right? Or in some cases, the good boy. And so they would do this to avoid conflict. And so they learned also just go along to get along. And what happens is with people who grow up in this sort of situation is that they learn to push down their own desires, their own needs. They start thinking that they don't matter very much. And it becomes because it becomes central and most important to them that the peace is kept. And they end up kind of disappearing. Like they'd rather not be noticed. They'd rather go underneath the radar of the abusive mom or dad. And so, that's one way. Or it turns into people pleasing, and they just turn into this like ultra hotel bellhop type, and ready to serve, ready to do whatever, ready to please, because if they can just do it right, do it perfectly, then they'll be feeling like they're good enough. And they'll win the approval of, say, the mother or father who has just had standards way too high for a child. And so they were just driven to this level. Don't mistake that for someone who is truly submissive. Now, it doesn't mean that they cannot join you into a dynamic, but it means you have to recognize this as not real submission. This is someone who is submitting out of fear. It's someone who's submitting out of wanting to keep the peace, to avoid conflict, to avoid rejection. It's very, very similar to how nice guy syndrome is developed and codependence that guys develop towards their mothers. This is, it's very, very similar. So don't mistake that. Don't mistake this for true submission. And the thing is, though, is that they can be brought into a dynamic. And if you understand how to lead well, how to see past that, to see the injured girl underneath, right, who wasn't properly cared for, wasn't seen, who only was seen as an annoyance or was only seen as a failure, then you can look past that and help heal this person. Now, some people might say, that's crazy. Why would I bother doing something like that? And you're more than willing to, or you're more than welcome to have that perspective. You don't have to be a doctor out here. You don't have to be a therapist or a savior. What I am saying is that you do have the capacity to, and the power to create tremendous change and growth in people as someone who has influence, leadership, and containment. I was explaining to someone earlier that when you're in this position, you're like all things but nothing. You give the support and the provisioning of a husband, but you're not a husband. You are like a lover, the best lover, but you're not a boyfriend. You care for and protect like a father would, but you're not her father. You give salient advice and really being someone in her corner, but unbiased, like an uncle. You can provide, inner guidance that's sometimes difficult, sometimes illuminating, like a priest, but you're not a priest. You're all of these things. Oh, and you can help understand the inner world, but you're not a therapist. But you are all of these things together as one. You are all things, but you're not any one of those things separately. And this is where like real power can come about. But it's not something you're trying to create. You're not tasked with these things. This is what happens just by being more grounded, by understanding yourself deeper, right? That you end up doing those things, like all those archetypes and what they can produce. You first start with putting them on yourself. You become your own spiritual leader. You become your own uncle. You become your own father, right? All these different people that care for another. It starts with the self. So you start understanding the architecture. You understand what it feels like. You understand what it means to connect with someone, not on the surface, but to their core. Seeing the person that's underneath all the presentation. And you start doing that with yourself, and you understand the mechanisms and so on. And now you can do this for others. And you can have whatever sort of rules, stipulations that require for someone to get to that level with you, or have none, or have so tight that nobody does because you don't want to bother. Like, it's all up to you, right? Because every program is specific. It's to the individual. So you can say, you know what, I could affect someone. I could affect a woman. I could affect my children, or a soon-to-be child, family members, have students. But you know what? I don't give a shit. My program is about me and me only. And that's perfectly fine. That's just as legitimate as the guy who says, I want to help as many people as I possibly can. Or somebody in the middle who says, I want to help people who have earned their place next to me, who have proven to me that they want to receive. And that's fine as well. So just know that there's no rule to this. I just bring this up because it helps you understand how much power and influence you can actually have. Like, beyond being that dog that chases the car and chomps on it and saying, what the hell am I doing this for? Because I promise you, that's what'll happen after you chase enough pussy and get enough pussy. You're going, what was I doing all this for? What am I really after? Because that's not truly satisfying. What is my soul actually after here? Because I thought it was that. And I promise you, if you keep going with enough exposure, you'll be like, damn, like, I get what Justin was talking about. And that's just how it goes. All right, so identicals, right? I was talking about the girl who has anxious attachment, okay, and how you should not mistake that for, just because she's very people-pleasing and scared of rejection doesn't mean that she's truly submissive. A truly submissive state is actually very closer to being like a Buddhist monk, where they're centered, they're grounded. It's not just like all over the place, anxious, needy, right? You can bring those things out of them, but that shouldn't be their state. So the difference is an energy that's underneath. People-pleasing feels anxious, even when it's smiling and looking pretty. Real following is calm. One is a woman who's managing. She's managing you, she's managing herself, she's just constantly managing, and it looks like submission, but it's not. The other is a woman at rest. And if you grab up a copy of my book, The Annals of the Yielded Queen, and read that through, read the passages, and it'll give you a deeper understanding of the deeper states, or the more advanced states of submission, of like what it's really like, what it's really about. So looking back at the signs, symbols, okay, what the body gives away. So this part is kind of hard to fake, which is exactly why it's worth learning to read. When a man is genuinely calm and holding his own frame, not performing some sort of calm or, stoic exterior, but he's like actually calm. A submissive woman's body tends to answer on its own without her deciding to let it. Eye contact that holds a beat longer than usual and then drops. A slight tilt of the head, shoulders that come down instead of bracing itself. More stillness in her, less of the fidgeting that fills the room when nobody's quite sure who's steering it. Her body orients towards you rather than the room at large. So this is where, like in a group setting or out in public, she'll be more likely to be orienting towards how you are, like your state, your body language, and start mirroring or relaxing into that. It'll be responsive. I was talking to this one girl, and this is very recent, she kept saying, "I'm sorry." And it just drives me up the wall. We were out walking, and some properties in New York City, there'll be like these brick walls, with that smooth cap on the top where like it's rounded on the edges. So it has like a rounded edge. The top is flat, and then the majority of the wall is made of brick. And it was maybe shoulder height or slightly lower. Yeah, maybe like chest height. And we're like just leaning up against that. And she kept saying, "I'm sorry." I said, you know what? If you say sorry one more time, you're going to get a spanking right here on the corner. And without even thinking about it, she quickly turned her front to that brick wall and grabbed the top of that rounded edge. And she didn't even think about it. It just happened. And I said, "Look at you." Just look at you. What are you doing? And it was almost like she was in a trance. I mean, not like a sleepy, like, whoa, trance, but like in the sense that she was just responding without even considering or making a choice. It was just happening. That's a bit more active version, but that's basically what I'm talking about here. That her body language is reacting to you, and not in a negative way. It's falling into your energy, your framing, your presence. Okay? And a girl who's like this, she isn't performing shy. She's responding to you. So two things are happening in her nervous system at once. There is safety and the recognition of hierarchy. And you're watching them both arrive at the same time. And this isn't like something you explain to her. You're like, "Hey, listen, you should be safe with me, and I'm the boss, and you're not the boss." Right? It's something that's unsaid, and it's something that's felt. So her sense of the hierarchy is just something that she feels. Her safety is just something that she feels. They could actually be completely off. You could be very much unsafe, and you could actually not be the leader or king that she sees you to be. Okay? So just know that there's feeling and perception, and the feelings could be altered by her attraction, by her arousal, by her hopes, or how good she feels in the moment. And perception, well, we all know, like, perception just fucking happens. Okay? It may be just that. It may be reactions from perception. So again, don't take this so seriously. It's like a single instance. Okay. So am I saying, oh, because that girl did that thing, that means she's a submissive? No, but it's something that I make note of. All right. That was unusual. That was unexpected. That's not typical. Noted. Put that on the desk and save it for later. And before you know it, I may have an entire desk filled with these Post-its, making note of behaviors that are all coalescing together, saying, I think this girl's a submissive. She's not just performing it. She's not just doing this because it seems fun and cute and sexy. It's just like how she's genuinely responding to me. And then I can test further. All right, I can start pushing on that just a little bit. All right. So here's the tell that matters just as much. Okay. If you become reactive or scattered or start trying too hard, those same signals tend to vanish. And that absence is information as well. So pay attention to what disappears, not only to what shows up. So she could be very receptive to you one moment, and then you have some more interaction, and then she kind of distances herself. Because there's something, there's something there that she's like, oh, he just said or did something that kind of threw off my safety sensor, and maybe pull back a little bit, and that's okay. Like, again, I mentioned earlier, you don't take any of this stuff personally. Don't take any of it personally. Okay? Because literally at the end of the day, it could just be simple mismatch. Whereas like another girl who's sensing your genuine presence, not your performed coolness or, stoicism or being whatever you think a dom's supposed to be, but you're just showing up genuine and honest. That some girl is going to see that, feel that, and go, that just harmonizes with who I am. And another girl be like, that key is completely out of tune with mine. And so it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It's only wrong if you're hiding. That's the only way that a man is wrong, is if he's hiding his nature, if he's hiding his true self. The problem is that that's sort of a trick. Well, it's not a trick question, so I didn't ask a question, but it's tricky because a lot of guys who think their authentic self is authentic is actually the conditioned self. It's the nice guy or the frustrated, angry guy who's also a nice guy, who has like codependence issues, who has anger issues, who has attachment issues. He's passive aggressive, right? And he thinks like, oh, this is just me. It's like, is it really? Like, do you really know your core? Well, what's that? Oh, well, good question. Now you've actually started asking something that matters. So, calmness. All right, a lot of guys think that dominance means aggressiveness, assertiveness, being bold, turning up the volume, talking real loud, using swear words, all right? Constant intensity, constant direction, never letting the temperature drop. Watch instead how she responds to that quite certainly. The man who can say, we're doing this, without raising his voice, without apologizing for it, and then simply following through. If she opens up more, gets more verbal, more physically present under that kind of calm, that unforced direction, that's the real signal, right? Because like if, again, like that girl that I mentioned who has the anxious, right? The anxious attachment style, someone who's loud and bold and abrasive and aggressive, she's going to fold for him too. And he's going to think, wow, look at this girl, or look at these girls who just fold underneath me. It's like, no, their nervous system is conditioned for fear. That's not genuine connection. That's not her losing herself in you. That's hoping that she never gets seen by you and she passes under the radar. Not the same thing. The real thing is, thank you for seeing me. I haven't been seen before in my entire life. No one has actually seen me. They just see the girl that's been constructed. So if she only opens up when things get loud or intense or sexually aggressive, be careful with what you're reading. That can be something else entirely. A trauma response wears some of the same clothes as genuine polarity. And a fetish performance can as well. They're not the same animal, and mistaking one for the other will cost you more than it saves you. So just, you have to tread lightly. Like that's something that you should really keep in your back pocket about power dynamics. Tread lightly. Don't come in all ham-fisted because you're horny and want to try cool shit. You have no fucking clue who you're getting involved with what they carry, why they carry it, and what that might turn into. So you need to be just slow, methodical, cautious, observant, and discerning. Because a lot of this stuff can be faked. A lot of this can be used as a mask, where really this submissive girl that you think is so great, she's actually reliving trauma that she hasn't exactly processed. Now, that doesn't mean that this can't be helpful. There's many therapists now that have been doing a lot of research and experimentation, and they're actually encouraging their clients to engage in BDSM practices because it can be therapeutic. It can be transformative. It can help people move through trauma so that it doesn't act as a rudder for many aspects of their lives. But that requires great skill. So being with someone that's, say, damaged, being with a damaged girl is not impossible, but it does require someone who has patience, skill, and sight beyond sight, where you can like see through the layers, like crazy X-ray vision, and knows how to deal with that process. And, you know, some guys will totally have the passion for it. They'll have the patience for it. And others will be like, you know what? I'll leave that to somebody else. And that's perfectly fine. Like, just because a girl is a certain way or looks a certain way doesn't mean you have to take her. Right? Because, you know, in power dynamics, everybody does work. Everybody works. There, like, yes, there's a lot of fun, but it's sort of like, what do they say? Work hard, play hard. It's like that. Or work hard, play harder. Whatever the idiom is. But it's like that. There's no real coasting in this world. If you are, you're doing it wrong. You're probably a performer. You want to just be able to put the hat on and be like, hey, look at me. I'm wearing the Dom hat. I'm one of them guys, right? You know, you get into this kind of life, or this awareness, I guess, of just power dynamics. You don't even have to get into BDSM. Power dynamics alone requires work. It requires work of the self. It requires working on the self, challenging your edges, because you're going to be faced with another person doing that. Yeah, you're going to be faced with another person doing that sort of thing. Yep. So let me get back here. All right. So the quiet ones and the loud ones. So it's not universal, but common enough to say that many women with real submissive polarity, they don't broadcast it. Like I said, like the girls are like, oh, let me be like submissive, and you know, they've got it in like their dating profile, or they're like prancing around with a collar on their neck, or they're doing poses on their knees, and you're like, girl, this is fucking Hinge. Like, what are you doing? Like, they're more likely than not actually a submissive type. They just enjoy submitting. Like I said, that's totally okay, but don't confuse the two. They hold that part of themselves privately. Okay? Like the real ones, they don't broadcast. They hold it privately. And they release it slowly to the guy who's earned enough trust in order to see it. And there's the kind of protectiveness around this, almost reverence for their own surrender. Because they know that once it gets released, it's really, really hard to reel it back in. Because the submissive energy is a very slippery, soft sort of energy. Like it's not built on boundaries and guardrails and rules and structure the way dominance is. it's a flowing energy. It's not really defined except by the container that it finds itself in. So it's really hard for a girl who has allowed herself to submit to backpedal. It really is. It's like, have you ever been canoeing, and you're on a stream or you're on a river. It's like, even on a slow moving river, it's really hard to move yourself in the other direction. I mean, this could be like a really, really gentle river, like a stream, and your canoe is just going. Like, you could probably have two guys, right? Like back oaring, and it's not going to do anything. At best, it maybe will hold you where you are. And that's it. Okay. Like, you can maybe freeze in place, but eventually you're going to run out of gas. You're going to run out of steam, and you're just going to be taken down the river. So submission is like that. Once they let go, you can pretty much count on it being gone, like from their grip. And that's why it's cherished. That's why it's coveted. That's why it's guarded over, like for real. Because there's something, even if they're not educated in it, there's something in them, like innately, that says, if I let go, I'm never coming back from this. I had better be sure. And I've had this a number of times where the girl is kind of like standing there at the edge of the cliff. Like, you ever see those? I get kind of freaked out by like deep sea movies, right? That, like, I could deal with outer space, caves, all sorts of stuff. But like deep underwater, I don't know what it is like about that, but I don't know. It just kind of gives me the willies. Where the explorer is in some sort of like diving suit, not swimming, but like walking. And they're walking along like on the bottom of the ocean, and they get to this like ridge of this fault, like the San Andreas Fault or something. And they're standing at the edge of that thing, and they're looking out, and it's just like, slowly it's like a little bit of light, but then it just slowly gets darker and darker as they look out and down. And it's just down, which seems like forever. And it's kind of like, if you've ever seen the movie The Abyss, that's a cool like old sci-fi movie where a guy goes into a depth where they had to use like this experimental rebreather where he was no longer breathing oxygen air. It was like this gel. Like, he had to literally breathe this like liquid. It's like a thick liquid, this pink liquid. And at first it felt like, to put it in his system, it felt like he was drowning, right? And then a second goes by and his body adapts. And like, his helmet was like filled with this pink liquid. And he's like breathing in this like thick liquid. And he's like, holy shit, this is weird. But the thick liquid is what allowed him to dive deeper than any human has ever dived before, like without being crushed by the pressure. And so he's just like falling and falling and falling. And he's like, what the fuck? That's like what it is for them. And the more they fall, it's like, whoop, there goes my beliefs. Whoop, there goes my identity. Whoop, there goes my sense of perspective. And all just starts flittering up as they go deeper. All of that can be lost. And the funny thing is that as scary as it may be, it also feels really good. So it's almost like, wait, I want to hold on to this, but I also want to let go. It's wild shit, really wild shit that they go through. And you guys are all fucking caught up on dumb surface level crap like fucking body count. Are you serious? Like, when the girl says that didn't count, it didn't, because it didn't actually do anything. It didn't cause her to fall down the San Andreas Fault. Are you joking? It's hard for girls to come back from that. It's almost impossible. So when a woman who can either sense that innately, or she's familiar with the whole mechanism of submission, and she lets go, it's like she's kind of knowing and admitting to herself that she's cooked. And it's hard to Yeah, it's kind of hard to reconcile with that because it's contrasted with feeling amazing. So that's why they hold it to themselves privately and they release it slowly. And that's why like some they kind of regard it as like a sacred act, not to be taken lightly. So the ones who lead with the label on day one, they're not wrong necessarily. Some of them are experienced and entirely intentional about it. Okay, but some are playing a part they've only read about, that they've seen in movies, or they're like, "Ooh, teehee, this would be fun." Okay, watch the rest of the behavior either way, right? Whether they seem to be experienced or uh, seem to be just cosplaying. All right, the label tells you what she calls herself. It doesn't tell you what's actually underneath, like what's really there. So, more than anything, is the emotional center of the whole thing, which is safety. A woman with real polarity will often tell you, in her own words, that she feels calmer, more herself, more at ease in her own body when a man is clearly leading, when he has influence over her, and not controlling every detail necessarily, just simply leading. You'll hear it in small sentences like, I don't have to think so hard when I'm with you, or I feel like I can relax, or it's nice not having to be the one deciding everything. And, like for my girls, I would usually start off with like certain rituals, okay, small, like just little bits, okay. And one of them is for like a few weeks is implementing two morning mantras. Or I'm sorry, two morning affirmations. Mantras are shorter, affirmations are longer. So there's like about a page long. And I make an audio of it. And so there's two of them. So they listen to one every morning for 2 weeks and then listen to another every morning for 2 weeks. And they're slightly different from one another. There's nothing really sexual about it, but it's about grounding them. Okay. So they start off their day in a kneeling posture, no distractions, phone is off, headphones, and just sit quietly and listen. And afterwards, I'll ask them, how did you feel? Tell me about your experience. And I do this from the day one that this starts to be implemented all the way to the 4 weeks. And listen and kind of register how they're processing it, how it feels from day to day, and then comparing first day to last day. And this is about kind of helping them slow down, right? Because a lot of girls, they'll wake up and it's like zing, their brain is up to 10,000 RPMs like immediately. And for a girl who's under me, I don't want that. I don't want them to start their day with anxiety, with tension, with a sense of rushing, with a sense that they're not behind the ball, that they're trying to play catch up. I don't want them to start their day like this. Again, see, dad energy, right? Father energy. I wouldn't want that for my daughter. So I'm not going to want that for this other girl that I'm caring for in a somewhat similar way. So it started with these affirmations. And I would hear very similar things. How do you feel? I feel calm. I feel grounded. I feel like starting off my day like at ease and relaxed. Now, does that mean that it's going to last all day? No, probably not. Probably once they get up, go use the bathroom and start their morning routine, that fades. But you do this day after day after day after day, and it starts leaving a mark so that then the body and the nervous system starts anticipating this. And it starts, oh, I get up and I'm anticipating being relaxed. Like that's, even if it just lasts 10 minutes, that's a great way to start the day. And here you are having influence without really being present, right? You're having a positive effect on how they relate to themselves without you even being there. All you do is make a 3-minute long recording of just, reading this affirmation, having her kneel, right? So you're turning this into this ritual. So it becomes this whole experience, right? And then you're constantly checking in, seeing and really not necessarily for her, because it's not like you're doing anything, explosive or dangerous or, testing her edges or whatever. You're checking for your own notes to see progression, okay? Because that's like what a teacher would do. I forgot to add professor to that list, right? All the different archetypes that Dom can embody. So this is like what a professor would do. He's not just going to assign shit just for the sake of assigning it, right? He's going to do things and watch. He's going to monitor. He's going to observe the students and how they're progressing, how they're absorbing the material, and should anything be adjusted. Okay. So this is about her softening. I would say saying words that kind of acknowledge her safety. So listen closely to how these words land, because there are two very different women who might say them. One is exhausted, right? She wants to be carried because she has nothing left in the tank, and a steady hand would do. The other is oriented. Something in her genuinely settles under male direction, not because she's depleted, but because she's simply where she rests. It's like, when you're harmonizing two keys that fall into good harmony with each other. I'm not a music person, so I can't tell you like what, like an A minor and like a, D sharp or whatever. Like, I don't know, maybe they harmonize really well. Okay. But that's what's within them. Okay. Their tone, they just feel it and it resonates with them. They don't have to really do much. And then their words will just mimic that. It'll just come out naturally. Right. They're like, oh, wow. And if they're new to it, they'll be kind of like, wow, like I feel so relaxed. I feel calmer, safer around you. Right. So just know that like one of them is depletion, and you might hear something very similar of an exhausted woman. And then the other is orientation. All right. Learn to tell them apart, because building on the wrong one will cost you a year that you won't get back. Okay. So real quick, just noting on what doesn't count. Okay. So you don't fool yourself. Shyness isn't it. Reflexive agreement isn't it. A history of hard relationships isn't it. The word submissive in a bio isn't it. Getting turned on by dirty talk isn't it. Well, dirty talk alone. None of these are reliable. These are not reliable indicators of a submissive type. Dominant women can be quiet. Genuinely submissive women can be socially confident and push back hard the moment your frame goes soft. So just don't think that that they're going to be big, obvious things. Okay. It's something subtler that you have to kind of like train your eyes, ears, and your, energy sensing equipment to be ready for. Okay. Let's see if I can take this down. Maybe we can put up a different one. Image. What do I have for you guys? Maybe some art. Maybe there's something that's not too incriminating for the YouTube. Oh, this one's pretty good. Some of these are really bad. Yeah. Oh, that was not too bad. Okay, that's cool. All right, there we go. It's like checking your butt. It's like, is your butt okay? So, so to test this, you don't need games or anything like that. Okay, you hold a small decision, make a plan, and don't waver on it. Correct something lightly, and watch what she does with the correction. You stay calm when she tests you, because she will. And you watch whether her energy moves toward you or away from you. All right. And this, and you're like standing firm, just see, does she get drawn in or does she repel? Okay. If she moves toward you, if she softens, if she gets more present, more here, but not like apologetic, not nervous, not afraid that you're going to dismiss her. Okay. That's a different kind of drawing in. That's drawing in out of fear. Okay. I'm talking drawing in out of softening. Then you're looking at polarity. If she hardens, if she argues for the sake of arguing, or simply loses interest, then you're not looking at polarity. And that's useful to know now rather than, say, 6 months from now. Okay. One of the things that I usually go for is language. I really can't stand the idea of being with a woman who has a trucker mouth, who cusses, who or communicates in text with abbreviations. I know it's harder, like, with younger girls, Gen Z. But yeah, I don't stand for that. Like BRB, WYD, like any of that stuff. Okay. No abbreviations. Can't stand them. Okay. Slang doesn't work for me. Okay. I like direct communication. If I've established it, then I prefer titles. Like a basic starting off title is sir. I really don't like when girls start off with daddy. I had a recent interaction like this where I had a match, and like immediately, right? Because again, this has to do with her perception of me, her feelings, whatever sort of emotion she's kind of playing with in the moment. I don't know. Maybe she's feeling adventurous, and it was on Hinge. And granted, my Hinge profile is very straightforward. There's no guessing or hiding of what kind of person I am. And I made a comment about one of her photos, and her first reply, like after the match, was like, "Thank you, Daddy," or something along those lines. And I was like, "Whoa, okay." Like clearly, like, okay, so either this girl is performative or she doesn't know what the fuck she's doing, and just kind of like rolling with the feelings. Yeah, or she is very experienced, but I'm guessing that she's not. Okay, because I think like an experienced submissive would know better than to use title before titles are even established. An experienced sub would say, I'm not using any title because I don't know if that's allowed, for one. Two, I barely know this guy. Three, how do I know daddy is preferred? It could be completely offensive to him. So I'm going to tread lightly while still being respectful. Okay. So what I figured in the moment was that this was a girl who had very little experience. She saw what I was, created a belief, and proceeded accordingly. And so immediately I corrected her. I said, listen, I love your enthusiasm, but here, I can even just read for you what I had said. That's better than just paraphrasing. So let's see here. Right. She said, thank you, Daddy. And I said, you're welcome. Nice cake too, because there was like a picture of cake. And I said, I like the enthusiasm, but Daddy, in quotes, is earned around here, not used casually in the first greeting. Assuming you read my profile and know what I am, you may call me sir until you've shown an interest in learning what Daddy actually means. That was my first real message to her. All right. And she said, I understand. I apologize. And then she said, I think I'm going to learn a lot from you. You seem like a great teacher. And immediately I saw gonna. I can't stand gonna. The word is going to. All right. But it's like, but this is me. Like I look for these things. It's not like so that I can correct. It just, I see that it grates on me. Like I don't want to be spoken to in this way. I'm not some fucking kid that you're hanging out with on the college campus. All right. So, so I'm like just nipping these things in the bud. And then what did I say here? We will see if you're a good student. All right, because she's talking about me being a great teacher. It's like, okay, but as good as I may be, I don't know if you can learn. you know? So I said, we'll see if you're a good student. However, I do not move quickly or push things. So if you want to learn, grow, explore, it's based on you, not me. Right. Just like any other classroom, right? Or sport or whatever. It's like the student gets out what they put in. That's really what progresses things. And then I said, I asked her if she has experience. And then later on, I can't remember where I thought it was right away, but yes. So later, like the next message, I mentioned this, and I said, such as the use of words like gonna, but all at a pace that you're comfortable with. It's your choice to engage your body sexually. It's not a requirement. So really, it's just sort of setting the atmosphere, the tone, the groundwork right away. Okay. And but that's just me, right? Because like I know myself, I know what I want to see, what I want to hear, and I'm not being forceful about it, but I'm just saying like, hey, like if you want to interact with me, this is how I'd like you to communicate with me. Okay. And if you don't want to, that's perfectly fine. Okay. And it turns out like this girl actually has a bit of that performativeness based around anxiety because I got to know her, the background and things like that. And there's a bit of performance going on with parents and meeting expectations and all this stuff. So you combine that with whatever sort of beliefs and perceptions that she had of me, and it turns into the submission that's so quick, so right away, is this performance in order to be accepted. And it's like, it's actually like kind of sad in a way. Like when you start looking at the whole picture here, and it's like, okay, so basically you've got here a young lady with her inner child exposed to me, even though she doesn't realize it. And I'm seeing just this little girl whose parents had a difficult time accepting her. Things were, either not good enough. I'm not quite so sure at this point yet, but maybe nothing was good enough for them. Everything could always be just a little bit better. Or maybe she always felt like a failure or was afraid of feeling like a failure, or her parents were very accomplished and she was like, fuck, I have to measure up to their level of success. So I really got to make sure everything's right. Even though I always feel like I'm falling short. Like it could be like any number of those things. And this is what I see. So I see like this, I like this hurt girl. And this is kind of what I mean by not being so distracted by what you see with your eyes, but see more with your intuition, your heart, your spirit, like see through that, start seeing more of her core. And you can't see it if you're like, oh, wow, she's like so hot. Oh, wow, she like, has nice tits or whatever. Like, okay, you're getting distracted by the fucking fanfare. Okay. Like, of course she's attractive. I wouldn't be talking to her if I didn't find her physically attractive. Okay. Next, like kind of like, okay, push that aside. That's not the reason why I'm here. I want to see who's there behind that stuff because there's something real there. I want to see it. I want to feel it, smell it, touch it, understand it. And, and then that goes to, it's like really directly connected to that abyss thing that I was talking about. Because for the most part, women are not seen by like the vast, vast majority of men. Like they know that most guys just look at their surface and then have some sort of like weird fucking like manosphere red pill understanding of what they are. And it doesn't even scratch the surface. It's just like the iceberg thing, it's like this tiny thing. And then underneath there's just this like inverted mountain under the water. And it's like, that's women. And guys are like, look at that peak there, that fucking hypergamous slut. It's like, dude, there's so much you don't fucking understand. There's so much you haven't seen. There's so much that you don't even know what you're missing. Not that you should be missing. I don't mean like missing, like you're missing a best friend, but like not seeing because you're just so locked in on this belief because it fucking keeps you trapped in your own fucking prison that you created for your own brain. And but you get so distracted by that stuff, by the manosphere stuff, by social media stuff, by all the pill stuff, by your own lust, by your own beliefs formed off of these things, which then inadvertently, shifts your perception. And now you're perceiving, these voids. All these fucking gold digging voids. We're just trying to steal Chad's sperm. Oh, God. When I don't know. I guess we see what we want to see. I see little girls. I don't mean in a pedo sort of way, but like their spirit, right? Like the little girl spirit that's in there. The one that's, happy and likes to play or is scared or embarrassed, unsure of themselves, was loved greatly and is looking for more of that, or was never loved and was looking for something they never had before. It's like once you start understanding those architectures within yourself, you can so easily see it in other people. And you're not distracted by, like I said, the fanfare. You're not distracted by the marketing. One of my biggest wake-up calls, like for all of reality, was with Polo Ralph Lauren. You're like, what? So when I first moved to New York, the first job that I got was working for an art studio, an art rep studio. And so basically, like my shirt is a perfect example. Okay, so this print, right, was first done by hand on silk, on a piece of silk. And it was done by an artist. And these studios are all over. They're mostly in Europe. And they have a bunch of artists in these studios, and they make tons of these, but not just florals. They make stripes, they make dots. And these things make their way onto shower curtains, bed spreads, pillowcases, bed skirts, fucking, couch patterns. Anything with fabric that holds a pattern typically was designed by an artist with hand painting on silk. Okay, so the place that I worked at, we were a rep studio for a number of these art studios like around the world. And every so often they would send us these gigantic fucking suitcases filled with this art. And so the silk was then mounted to paper, and then that paper was put in. And these were big. Like these were maybe, I don't know, at least 30 inches long by 20 some inches wide. Okay, these are big pieces of paper. You stack a bunch of that paper together, put it in a suitcase. It's heavy as hell. So they would have that. And then it was my job to make appointments with fashion houses, with home furnishing houses, and bring that suitcase to them, to their art directors, so they could look through them and go, oh, this would be cool for, what is it, like fall 2027? Because they're always like 2 seasons ahead when they're designing stuff. And so they're like, okay, this would be cool. And then they buy stuff. I get commission, and, everybody's happy. And so what they do is then they scan it, they turn it into what they call a repeat. And so that pattern can be repeated seamlessly over a large surface. And the artists that make it, they start off with the material as a repeat. So it's easily repeated. Anyways, so I've got this appointment with Polo Ralph Lauren. Okay. And if you've been to their, I don't know, their design offices, you walk in and it's like, holy fuck. Like they sunk in tons of money into their design offices. Beautiful. Okay. And you almost felt like you were walking into a hotel. And I'm walking through, receptionist, cute little me, right? Oh yeah, I'm here to see, I can't remember the art director at the time, what her name was. He's like, oh, cool, like have a seat. So I'm sitting there waiting a few minutes, and I get up, go into the back. They lead me in past like all the designers' cubicles, and There's like a couple models walking around, there's fabric fucking everywhere. And as I go deeper into this chasm of creativity, it gets crazier and crazier and crazier. To finally, we're in this little room. Like I would thought that we would be in this nice conference room, beautiful. Oh, hey, Justin, can we get you some coffee? And no, it was like fucking mayhem, absolute mayhem. And we're in this little room. I'm with the art director, her assistant, and creatives are just constantly running in and out, asking her questions. She's focused on 15 different things, plus me, plus flipping through the thing. Her mind's on the season, two fucking seasons ahead, while dealing with the season now and the next season, talking to all these art directors. It was like it was a hen house with all of the hens with their heads cut off. Absolute mayhem. And this gave me a picture into marketing, right? Into perception. Like what's perceived on the surface may often not be what's actually happening behind the scenes, right? Because like Ralph Lauren, they're like, oh yeah, we're like this, polished but mainstream sort of brand, okay? We know what we're doing. Fucking hell, they don't. It was a fucking tornado back there. They're not sophisticated at all. The brand is sophisticated, but what's creating the brand is insane. It's pure insanity. And this is like a lot of companies that were like this. But that was the first like real explosion of my beliefs around what I thought I saw versus what actually is. And I wasn't like making any sort of claims like, oh, hey, I bet they're fucking great back there, or I bet you they're all fucked up back there. I didn't have any sort of opinion or foretelling of what I thought I was going to see back there. So it's not like that. Like I was having presuppositions. But the thing is that, I bring this up so that you, don't just like judge what you see. Like, oh, she's soft and pretty. She talks sweet. Therefore, she's submissive. That girl's argumentative. She dresses more smartly and wears business suits. And, she's argumentative. So therefore, she's not submissive. Or you're thinking, oh, well, she puts up this tough front all day long. I bet you she's a fucking submissive kitten in the bedroom. All right. And that soft chick, she's probably a dominatrix. You can't say these things. And the thing is that, there was this quote. I can't remember what it was exactly, this writer. And he said, God is the blanket that we throw over the mystery to give it form. It was something along those lines. And I was like, man, that's really poignant, right? That we have this mystery of life. Nobody really has answers to the biggest questions: who we are, why we're here, and where we're going. Nobody has those definitive answers. Nobody, since the beginning of time. And so, some clever people said, all right, I've got this philosophy, I've got this religion, I've got this. And they take this blanket and they throw it over that mysterious thing called existence. And it gives this kind of shape. And you're like, aha. And sometimes that blanket is called God, right? Or religion or whatever. And say, look, see, we gave it shape, the mystery. And guys love doing the same thing to women. They love finding that blanket, that red pill blanket. Well, women are hypergamous. Look, it gives the mystery shape. Yes, they're fucking demonic hypergamous beings. But is that really it? Or do you just don't know what to do? You don't know how to approach it all. You can't handle the tension of mystery, of not understanding. So you're looking for answers. So you find somebody, some group, some authority to put a blanket over it so you can go, I may not like the outcome, but at least I understand it now. That's no, that's not how it works, But this is how I see a lot of guys, right? They're looking for these answers, and there's really, the real answers come about in your own experiences. That's where your answers lie. So if you're not out here experiencing anything, right? If you're just kind of, I don't know, um, working on theories, working on hypotheses, working on, manosphere projections, uh, understanding women from a generalized perspective, looking at patterns, and then justifying this with statistics. What you're doing is, yes, you're trying to create some sort of controlled feature around women. But the thing is that you're also reducing yourself to nothing, because you're also saying, I'm part of this statistic as well. I'm not an important individual. I'm just another little tooth on a cog. And that's it. I don't matter. She doesn't matter. It's just about like what's happening with these cogs and these teeth and what they're doing. Right? I'm too selfish for that. I cannot look at the swath of existence and say, this is, this pattern exists. And look, I can justify this belief and perception because this statistic agrees with my perception that I hold already. I'm just looking for something to reinforce it. And that's like what that does, because, if we're dealing with human interaction, you're saying like, women behave this way with men based on this, this study or whatever. And I'm part of that men because I'm a man, then I'm just kind of reducing myself to some nameless number within a statistical analysis. I said, well, that could be me, right? The women in that study, they did this. That could be me. It's okay. So you're reducing yourself to nothing. You want real data? You want real information that you can rely on? Create it. That's what the scientists were doing. They said, hey, we got some ideas about some shit. Let's create a study. Let's create what we're trying to suss out here. Let's create some experiments, take some notes, compare, analyze, run it through the gamut, run it by our friends, and see what everybody thinks and what we can come to, if any, right? Like they took it upon themselves to create the experience. And then guys are like, wow, look at these authorities. And they say this like from the comfort of their bed, not having spoken to a woman actually face to face in a year or more. Like never actually, or not actually, but not having touched a girl in almost the same amount of time or something like that. I know it's tough. Nobody said life would be easy. Nobody said being a man would be easy. Okay, but if you're just looking for reasons not to do anything, not to stand up, not to create anything, well, you're gonna be left behind. And I think unfortunately there's a growing number of young men who are saying, yeah, that's fine. I really don't care. And I really don't like apathy. I think apathy is one of the most destructive forces in nature. I'd rather have chaos than apathy, because chaos is a form of energy, right? It produces. Even destruction is a form of energy that has action. Apathy is just, it's like blah kind of stillness. It's not even good stillness, right? Because real stillness generates energy of its own, right? It kind of like crackles. But apathy, it's void of everything. And the thing is, though, is that you can't deny your nature. Because as apathetic as you can be, there's still a pull. There's still a pull in men that says, I, I want, I want to create. I want to do something. I want to look in the mirror and enjoy what I see. And this is or I want to affect the world around me, or I want to affect another person. I don't want to just fade away. I mean, we all fade away after enough time, but I don't want to fade away in the memories of people so quickly. And the thing is, like, you got to get up off your duff. So if you want real actionable information, you're actually going to have to interact with girls and counteract your fear that you adopted from a world that you didn't create, right? The social media world. You adopted that. You absorbed it into your consciousness and made it real because it bonded with your emotions. It bonded with your fear. It bonded with your own sense of avoidance. It bonded with your self-rejection. It bonded with all these things. And so, yes, when you bring emotion into beliefs, that's when it gets really fucking tricky. That's when this shit becomes real. That's when it seems real, is when you start involving emotions into theories, when you start involving emotions into ideas, because that's when beliefs become something else. Oh, this is a good series. Which was the good one that I made? I got some funny AI art. Yeah, I think this one's good. Okay. Yeah, we'll do that one. There we go. Pause, YouTube. Don't kick me off because, this man needs a book rest. Hold still. Don't spill my coffee, dear. Don't spill my coffee or you'll be in trouble. All right, so the last thing here, right, about spotting, because we've been talking a lot about like recognizing submission, okay? So spotting this, even if you've got the right girl like sorted out, you're like, yes, I see her. I see what's going on in there. Cool, all right? That's not the same as earning it, okay? She can have the orientation entirely intact and still never hand it to you, okay? So having the proper mentality, having consistency, having emotional steadiness, understanding and being able to implement actual leadership, not control, right? Leadership, those are still required every time, or the signals you saw in the beginning will quietly stop showing up. You're not looking for a woman who has already submitted to someone. You're looking for a woman whose nervous system recognizes strength the moment it's actually in the room and responds to it without being asked to respond to it. Like, that's like, if you have to bring up submission to a girl, she's not submissive and you're probably not a leader. You're definitely not a dominant. Like, the only time I'm really bringing up submission to a prospective sub is to help educate her, not because I'm trying to like tell her what she should be or how she should show up. It's more of like, okay, today's lesson, we're going to be talking about what submission is and what submission isn't, what domination is, what domination isn't. Like, it's more of like a lecture that I give you guys. Okay. And that's the difference between collecting roles and actually leading. Okay. So learn to see it and you'll never mistake this act, the performance, the theater of it for the real thing ever again. Right? So let's see here. Hey, there's my guy. So, what do we got here? So, how do you love them whilst remaining dominant and being realistic about their nature? Well, that to me tells me that you have a red pill idea of what female nature is. And that makes me think that it's something bad, that you've got a negative view of female nature. Well, let me tell you something. It's not negative and it's not positive. It just is. Do squirrels have a bad nature? Do tigers have a bad nature? Does the anglerfish have a bad nature? Do hamsters have a bad nature? Do deer have a bad nature? Like, no, they just are. And the reason why we're saying good or bad is because we have our own expectations, we have our needs, we have our projections, we have our desires, our fears. So we have all of our own bullshit that we then project onto another person or an entire half of the species and say, you need to be a different way so that my nervous system can feel safer. That's basically all it is. That's all that negative shit of the demonic female nature. Why have I not seen this? Why? I just read you some of this. When I read this recent match, where's this like demonic female nature? Where's the hypergamy there? Where she's like, where is she waiting for the next best thing? Where is she trying to take what she can from me? Where? I'm not super tall. I'm not ripped. Shit, I'm not even young. I'm not wealthy. I'm not famous. So what is it? Maybe it's because I'm a wizard. No, but seriously, where's that nasty female nature? Hopefully that, from what I was going over earlier, it dawned on you that people respond differently to other people and other circumstances. So perhaps what you're seeing as the negative female nature is actually a test to see how the hell you fucking handle a woman. Oh no, ew, these creepy girls, they with their cooties, they're gonna hurt me. And then she's like, oh, another one. I'm so glad I did not submit to that one. Right? So, but your first question, how do you love them whilst remaining dominant? Well, that also helps me understand that you probably have a more adolescent understanding of love. Okay. They're like, oh, I want to be in love, this romantic part of love. When I was in the beginning talking about the different roles, okay, like the dad, the uncle, the teacher, the priest, the therapist, they all love as well, but from a different kind of angle. The priest loves its parishioners, like with all of its heart, right? Or all of his heart, right? The father loves his kids with all of his heart. The uncle loves his niece with all of his heart. Okay? The therapist loves his clients in a certain way. But it's like all of these together. I think, what was it? Like someone talked about, what is it? Agape love. I heard this term before. What is that? I think this is what I'm talking about. So agape is an ancient Greek word for the highest, most selfless form of love. It's an unconditional, sacrificial choice to seek the absolute best for others without expecting anything back. While other types of love rely on feelings, attraction, or friendship, agape is driven purely by action, devotion, and goodwill. Well, maybe it's that. I don't know. But the thing is that I look at it, the love is more of like a fatherly love, or like, you know, for you religious nuts, like I hear, what do they say in the Bible? Like, a husband should love his wife the way Jesus loved the church. Like, I think that's it, because I have to hold myself in a certain esteem, regard, but not in the sense of like, I'm looking down on you fuckers. Like, it's not like that. It's just, I hold myself to be of a certain level of importance to myself, but also as it relates to others as well, those that I care for, those that are choosing to be underneath me. And I don't like operate on the level of romantic love. Okay. For those that are like interested in chakras and stuff, it's not on like the first 3 lower chakras. Okay. It's more in the chest, throat, forehead, and crown. Like, it's that higher register, those higher vibrations, that love. It's not this like romantic attachment. Oh, like that kind of love. So what you're asking me shows me where you are. You're at romantic love. You're in your feelings. You fear women. You think female nature is evil, right? And that's fine. Like, that's just, where things are. Okay. Well, I'll have to take your word for it because, this is the internet. This is YouTube. This is, so when I hear their nature, it's like, what do you know of their nature? Okay. See my picture here? That's part of their nature too. It's all part of it. Light and dark. Just like what's in you. Just like what's in me. I have my high mind, right? My higher self. And I've got a fucking deplorable, nasty fucking demon that lives inside me. Both of them. And they coexist as one. Same with the girls. Just people don't want to be, I don't want to see that part. That's going to hurt my feelings and make me scared. Yes. The Abyss, for its time, The Abyss was dope. Yeah. Oh, bloody heck, man. This guy. Holy crap. Guns, you and bloody heck went at it. Yeah. He's upset. Let me see the beginning of this. If it was just a little test, that would be one thing. Unfortunately, most women just keep pushing until she gets the reaction she wants. Most women, see, this is internet speak. Okay, what I want to know from bloody heck, how many women per week is he interacting with face to face in flesh and blood? Okay, where he's experiencing most. So we're talking hundreds, thousands of girls. Oh, no. I'm not just talking about me. I'm talking about the other guys who all, we corroborate our information. How do I know that they're doing this? Because last I checked, the percentage of guys who have never even approached a girl is growing day by day. They haven't talked to a girl in over a year. This percentage is growing and growing and growing. So most women, that would mean that in order to make a claim like that, you would have to have the experience of a fucking god to make a claim. Most girls, right? Or you're saying most based on these anecdotal things that other people say on the internet. It's like, oh my gosh, like how many holes do you want to poke in this boat? Yeah. It's just wild. The beliefs run wild. Okay. And here's the thing. What you believe is what you perceive. So whatever you end up believing, that's what you're going to see in the world. It's the old thing, right? Is the glass half full or is the glass half empty? Okay. And then some people say, well, what glass? There is no glass. Reminds me of like that scene with the first Matrix, Neo, when he's with the spoon and he's like, there is no spoon. And it's like what fucking glass? Right? It's like what fucking paradigm are you living in? But I'll tell you, trust me. Trust me. Why would I trust you? Trust me, I could introduce you to the women who could look at the rookies or the Rockies and get them to move out of their way. I trust you, man. I trust you. Bloody heck. I would love to be introduced to the women. Okay, so not even one, we're talking more than one, so like 3 plus. Okay, please introduce them to me. I'm very easy to contact. You can find me on the dominancecademy.com. There's a contact button right there. My Telegram is Mr. Justin _X, or I'm sorry, Mr. J _X. We can have a group call or a group chat or whatever the fuck you guys want to do. And I would love to meet women who you know, right? Because you can introduce them. So they're, people that you know. So you hang out with women, or you're close enough to women to introduce them to other people that could just look at the Rockies and get them to move out of the way. So we're talking like extremely, powerful, abrasive girls? Like, yeah. So this goes back and forth. I'm not even getting into all this stuff, okay? Guns, you have the patience of a saint. Back and forth. Some of us can meet and get a first date maybe once or twice a year. We need to find who to make it work with, the women we're with, not just going through women like they're endless. Yeah. So you keep going, right? Start having these beliefs, and you start pushing and picking and peeling, and then you just end up at the root of someone who's frustrated, scared, hurt, feeling doubtful, perhaps angry, right? We start getting to the real shit, not this fucking weird, like, hypotheses dragged around the fucking internet, like a pair of fucking shoes tied to the back of a car. Most women just keep pushing until she gets the reaction she wants. Wait, so you're saying most? How are we now saying, hoping for, 1 to 2 dates a year? So you're talking for other guys? I think you're revealing about yourself. That's why there's such frustration. And that's okay. Because the reality is that the path of manhood, and I say this all the time, what is it? The path of manhood is laying in bricks of honesty. You can't do this shit if you're not honest with yourself. And that's not bonding to your sorrow. That's not bonding to your anger and saying, oh, I'm being real because I'm allowing myself to be angry. No, that's part of this constructed identity. Oh, I'm allowing myself to be a sorrow and I feel like a victim. No, that's more of your ego trying to identify with something. You have to learn to let all of these things go and get to honesty, right? The honest thing is to saying, well, I have habitually held on to this idea of being a victim because it was comfortable. I got used to it. It's something that kind of gave me some weird form of stability within myself. Same can be said with your anger or your rage or your trauma, your pain, whatever it is. Okay. Honesty is saying, I say all these things. I have all these beliefs and I don't actually live any of them. I have all these opinions about women, but I really haven't experienced any of it because I'm not in the world like that. I'm not in the world like that. And I really just don't have the experience. I actually spend most of my time indoors. I spend most of my time experiencing screens. And that is my connection to the world. I don't have really a connection to the world. I have a connection to a connector. And that's being honest. Saying, hey, I really don't know myself. I have no fucking clue who I am. That's being honest. These are the important things to say. Okay? Because the pathway it actually first leads you into darkness, because you're living in like sort of like this like constructed reality, this constructed idea of who you are, your placement in the world, and all these beliefs and perceptions and all that stuff. And it seems like it's bright. It's got color, it's got definition and things like that. But when you start thinking, well, shit, did I come up with that? Did, this idea that like women are hypergamous, for example, is that something I really came to believe from my own experiences? Or is this something that I just absorbed from some other source? Is that really something real within me? So what other philosophies do I have? What other sort of belief structures do I have that I just adopted from somewhere, that I absorbed just because I'm looking for some kind of grounding, some kind of blanket to throw over the mystery so that I can feel at least like something close to calm, even though it barely even fucking cuts off the tension within me. And the tension is really just the relationship to the self that's completely fucked and out of whack, that you've never even really put together in the first place. So you're like, okay, I'm going to try that. I'm going to start being like radically honest with myself and saying, you know what? I don't know any of this stuff. Half of the crap that I type out on the internet is just bullshit. I get into arguments for no reason, claiming I know things that I don't actually know or have any real experience in. I'm going to just stop, because now I feel foolish. So I'm going to just continue on, and I'm going to continue being honest with myself. And as you walk down that road of being honest, you start laying a brick, laying a brick, laying a brick. It hurts. It does not feel good to be honest with yourself, because you're starting to do like dings into the paneling of your ego, which is constructed anyways. And it's not something that you chose to. You didn't willfully create it. It's just been created for you based on your attachments, your shit that happened in your past, perhaps trauma, beliefs, conditioning, all that stuff. Okay. And you're like, this is who I am. It's like, well, no, not really. You didn't make it. So that stuff starts falling away and the dings happen and it doesn't feel good. Okay. And then as you go along, it seems to get worse. You get into places that gets darker and darker and darker, because you're leaving behind the constructed reality. And you're starting to, because you're just like, that's bullshit. I realize it doesn't actually do anything for me. It actually drags me down. So I'm just going to continue walking, but that path, it gets darker and darker. There's no source of light yet. And it gets to the point where, and this happens to my students after a certain period of time, where they start questioning who the fuck they are, because they start becoming so honest with themselves and start developing a sense of a mixture of honesty, perception, and compassion for the self, right? There's a bit of gentleness mixed in there. And it's like sort of like this lost, sad state where you're letting go of what you thought was you, and now you're in this kind of like, like a hermit crab without a shell. And it's exposing. You feel very vulnerable, but also like relieved at the same time, because you're releasing a bunch of stuff. But they call this the nigredo. This is the darkening period. Okay. And then as you continue on, things start progressing more. Okay. And things start progressing. So, and then the nigredo period is like this initial blackening. It's taken from the Gnostics. Okay. And Jung adopted this in some of his philosophy. It's the Gnostic alchemical type work. All right. And there's other ones past that. There's like the albedo, which is the whitening, the citrinitas, which is the yellowing, and the rubedo. I think that's at the end. And this is the reddening. And these are all different stages of self-actualization. Okay. But in order to do this, you actually have to you have to kind of clean house first. You have to let go of all of this shit. And, like a few of my guys are coming to the realization of like the emptiness of the things that they're holding on to. It's really weird. It's like a house of cards. You build this house and it's like, wow, it's like this big structure, right? But each card is like kind of nothing. It's just this little square piece of paper, but constructed together, it seems like it has this wonderful form. You're like, cool, look at that, but it's really built of nothing. Same in like the Buddhist skandhas, right? If you look at the Buddhist skandhas, they say that the human existence, the sense of self, is made up of 5 skandhas. Let's see if I can remember them. It's form, feeling, sensation, perception, and mental formations. Or I'm sorry, form, feeling, sensation, mental formations, and consciousness. And what they say is that each of those is void of a separate self, right? So you can't have a consciousness without all the rest, right? We have no history or understanding of a consciousness that exists without any of those other things. Or you can't have feelings that's not part of the other thing of form and consciousness, right? And all the other 4. Like, so all of them can't exist by themselves, but you put them together and poof, we have us. We have this existence. It's really weird. So we're constructed of a bunch of nothing. Isn't that weird? Those Buddhists are like these wacky dudes, man. They're like, I exist, but I don't exist. I'm here, but I'm made up of a bunch of nothings. It's really weird. But the same sort of like architecture has to do with our beliefs, our sense of self, right? It's all constructed of these things, these stories that we've come to understand as like, oh, this is me, right? Like, oh man, I had this like abusive dad, and like, oh, I'm so mad at him, And I'm not making light of like that sort of stuff. Like, certainly, I don't wish anybody had a terrible childhood, right? If I could make that go away, I would. What I'm saying is that sort of like energy becomes grafted into the identity, right? And so then when it comes time to like let go of that angry, hurt self from a long time ago, right? It's hard because it feels like you're letting go of part of your identity. It's like you're pulling, like, what did Alan Watts say? Like trying to pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, right? It has this weird, like contradicting sort of feeling like, I can't pull it away from me because it is me, right? But you have to keep trying. That's the thing. You have to keep trying, saying, this is not me. I am not a culmination of these stories, of these narratives, of these things that happened to me. Sure, I can acknowledge they happened, cool, but it's not me. It's just something that happened. Okay? But, it's like we're looking so much for just explanations. Like, just stop. Just stop looking for the blanket to throw over the mystery so you can feel better. Just fucking accept the fact that you don't know shit. And like life gets so much easier. Like how do you know, like how do you know women, right? And just, I don't know. I stopped caring about knowing them. I think that's a funny, oh man, there's so many ironies in the game. Like when you stop caring about knowing about women, you understand them. And it all just kind of makes sense. You're like, geez, I wish I could have gotten this information and received this understanding back when I cared about having their understanding. Oh man, I wouldn't give up this life for anything. I hope I don't come back as like a toad or something. It's gonna be so boring. But who knows? It could be like the most fulfilling existence in all of life. To just sit there. Rip. Oh man. Yeah. I'm just a lover guy. And I want that deep love. I can hear like Barry White playing in the background when you're saying this. I want that deep love. And sometimes it feels pathetic to want love. Like it sounds like lyrics to a fucking like some soul jam or some like a pop song, you know. It's funny. I was just going over this with that John Cusack movie. I think was it called "Say Anything"? Oh no! I'm sorry. High Fidelity. High Fidelity. That movie, and he's John Cusack. He plays this guy who works in a record store, and he's like depressed, and he has this. He breaks the third wall in this movie. It's one of the first movies where they're breaking the third wall, and he's looking at the camera and he goes, "Am I depressed because I listen to pop music? Or do I listen to pop music because I'm depressed?" And I don't think people realize like how fucking deep that is. But whatever. So but yeah, like, you say you're like, I'm a lover guy. I want that deep love. And sometimes it feels pathetic to want love. Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. Like, when you start like, how do I say this? Like your internal governance, your throne, your groundedness, like all of that, those feelings go away. Like I get like that you're probably kind of young, that's okay. That's not a criticism or anything like that. But, it's, oh, that's a good one. Yes. Cleaning the shoes. So, that's like a young man's thing, right? It's a young man's game. And I'm not saying that like you get bitter or anything like that. It's just, there might be a period of bitterness, and that's okay, right? It's okay to have your heart broken. But, as you pass through, like I was saying, like with those different phases of the Gnostic mysticism, the Negredo, the Albedo, the Sinitras, the Rubedo. I love that word, Citrinitas. It sounds cool. Anyways, it's you're growing beyond that. Like you're growing beyond this like needy romantic love. Like that's all part of stories. It's part of culture. It's part of emotion. It's part of these things. It's like, with the chakras. Like when you start raising up above like the like the first 2 or 3 chakras, love changes. It's not it like even includes the romantic love, but you're not like encapsulated by it. You're not you love beyond that, right? And it's like if you had like like an energy beam, right? And it's shooting like a laser at a certain, hertz or whatever. And then behind it, you've got a much bigger energy beam. And it's shooting at like 10 times the amount of hertz. That first beam, which is like romantic love, just gets completely like engulfed by the much larger one. So it includes it, but it's so much more. And the thing is that when you let go of romantic love, which is sided with culture, belief, attachments, and being attached, it actually limits you, right? The deepest form of love is the kind of love that is boundless, and boundlessness can't have attachments, right? They kind of are antithetical. So when you are able to let go, when you're able to let go of the ideas of romantic love, when you're able to let go of attachment type love, right? That passionate, romantic storybook, movies, literature, music, like all that shit. You're not limiting yourself. You're releasing limiters. like the rev limiter that they put on like imported sports cars and motorcycles and stuff, you can get that removed. So now you've just opened up another 20,000 RPMs. So the power band is much higher now. And so that's what that is. Like the culture shit, like sure, it's fun and all, but it's incredibly limiting. And it's a process of getting there, of actually letting go. But this opens up your capacity, like tremendously. Like I have no fear whatsoever of loving any woman. Because there's nothing for me to lose. I have like what's inside me is an endless wellspring. Like you cannot deplete. No woman could just deplete this. I will drown her first. There's no possible way. But the thing is, when you are locked in with these ideas of like cultural love and, you know, this significant love and this like romantic love and what's in movies and books and Disney and all this stuff, that has a cap. This has transaction. This has, I give this, I'm hoping for that, right? It has this reciprocation. Like, we won't use God because he was kind of a vengeful God. But if say like look at someone like Jesus or Siddhartha or whatever, like could you imagine like their love be like, I don't know, I'm kind of running low, you know? Like according to the ledger here, I'm kind of running low on love this month, so we're rationing back, and you're only going to get 25% because if I give you more than that, it's going to harm me. It's going to harm the bottom line. So yeah, you're getting rationed. Sorry, lady, because I'm afraid of being depleted here, and I don't know if you're going to give back to fill in my my deficit. So yeah, no, like they're just boundless. Like they're just like, here, take it. Like I don't give a fuck. But when you're worried about what you're going to get back. Okay, when you're worried about this transaction stuff, which means you've got some kind of hole to fill, right? Otherwise, why would you be concerned about what you get back, right? Think about it. If like you had like an endless fucking bank account, endless. Like I'm saying like not so much that it seems endless. I'm saying like it's a magical bank account. Like it just does not ever deplete, no matter what. You'd be like, here, you take it. I don't give, just take it. Take the money, take it. I know you can't put it anywhere. Just start stuffing it up your ass. I don't care. Just take it. But it's just boundless. Oh, depth is different. Depth is different, Guns. I'm with you. It's actually impossible to love a woman as deep as you love the self. What I'm saying is that what's available cannot ever be depleted because there's nothing I don't have a finite amount that I'm calculating that like, oh no, I'm afraid to give that to her because, you know, I might not get it back, you know, like fucking Scrooge, you know what I mean? Like, because that shows like, oh, she can harm me. There's really like, there's no way that a girl could harm me. No way. And what? Loving a girl, how could that harm me? Only if I'm in a deficit of some sort. If there's like an end, if there's a way that I could possibly deplete my bank account, then I'm like, oh no. I'm watching like the numbers drop. Like, oh my gosh, I'm getting close to zero. I better get something back from her. Right? You know, but you know, it's endless. I don't give a fuck. And they're better for it anyways. Oh, but what if I don't worry about that. Right? Because that's your attachments. That's your romantic ideals. That's like, just let go. Let go of all that bullshit. Right? That's just holding you down. All of those attachments, those beliefs, they don't really hold water. They don't. Not at all. You know, this girl that I'm talking to, one of the first things that she admitted to me She's like, I don't even know like what you are. I've never encountered a man like you. Like she doesn't even know how to fucking operate because it doesn't fit into the paradigm of like regular conventional society, like how people relate, how people do things, you know. And she doesn't know how to be. She does not know how to step to me, you know. Yeah, you're welcome, guns. Yeah. Yeah, I like yeah, and I'm not sitting here like, you know, like on the parade or something, just with like a bag of coins, just throwing everything out there. But I'm just saying, like, I don't have the underlying fear. There's nothing for me to lose. There's nothing for me to lose in loving someone. Nothing. Right. Now I agree with you that the depth of it is a different story. Right. And that's because I could never know the depth of another person as intimately and as deep as I know myself, right? It can be taken to a deep extent, but it will never get to the leagues. And I mean like baseball leagues, but leagues in terms of like depth of measurement or measurement depth, measuring depth of myself. It's just impossible, right? So yeah, the depth will never be equal. That would be fucking wild. I mean, that would require like, I don't know, fucking consciousness transference, some shit, you know, something that we don't have the technology yet for, but, you know, enough love to love multiple time for me to be selfish. Thank you. Yeah, yeah, sure. Whatever works for you. Yeah, that guy, yeah. Women aren't evil. That's funny. I appreciate the compliment. But you know, women are not evil. Like there's actually like there's like a very small portion of like what's like truly evil. And there's also actually a very small portion of life that's truly good. Everything's just a mixture of gray, like varying shades of gray. And I think the more we accept that, the better. Okay, because what that does is it stops us from putting things into categories and go like, you belong here, and you belong here, and you belong here, and just start like boxing things in. Because we only do that just so that we feel more comfortable, right? So that we can feel like we're in control. Because if you admit that everything's the varying shades of gray, then you're like, well, I really don't have much control over it. You only have control over your perception and your, you know, your reactions to stuff, you know? Well, there isn't a woman I know who wouldn't let him spank her no matter how dominant he believes he is. If he tried it, I know women who would punch him. Okay. Uh, Again, I really invite you, Bloody Heck, to please get in touch with me. It's really easy, right? It's in all the info for the videos, all that jazz. Okay. And yeah, just get in touch. I would love to be introduced to these girls because like I'm not discounting what you're saying. I just want to know because it sounds like you know a lot of women. You know, like it's good to know guys who know a lot of women. So it sounds like you do. And I'm not saying like to that you're wrong or you're right. They very well could be what you describe. And they don't want to submit. And that's fine. I don't care. Or they could be what I described earlier, where the ones that put up the front and the test look quite often are just really waiting for the right conditions to feel comfortable to submit because they know either they've seen it or they've felt it of what it's like to stand at that underwater cliff and look out into the abyss of nothingness that goes on seemingly forever and saying, fuck, if I go off this ledge, there better be the right person to contain what I become, because I will be lost without it. I will be completely destroyed, but not in an explosion, not an explosion type of destruction, but actually like a dissolving. Like I saw one of those really cruel videos, but also funny. Like raccoons, they wash their food. And some cruel motherfucker gave a raccoon a bunch of cotton candy. And the raccoon's like, oh boy, puts it in the stream. And it just immediately dissolves. It's like, what the fuck? Where did it go? I felt so bad for him, but it was so funny too because of the way he reacted. It was so human, right? He's like, oh shit, what? Where's my cotton candy? But that cotton candy dissolving in the water, like that's her. And some women know that this can happen to them, and it scares the shit out of them. Or some of them are like, okay, let's do this. Can you do it slowly, please? Right? And then others will be like, if you come near me, I'm going to fucking break your face. Right? But you can't tell just by like, oh, I see you and I look at your personality. So therefore, I understand your inner world. Okay? Women are like icebergs. You see just a little bit on the top. And then underneath, there's this entire world that very few get to see. You would just have to understand like how to dive, right? How to dive properly so you can see, experience, and understand everything that's below sea level. And a lot of times they're not the same. A lot of times you're getting a sliver of more of what exists, or you're getting a cover for what exists. So like my guess, based on your bloody heck, your examples and stuff, that you may know a bunch of girls, but you don't have deep, intimate experience and deep, intimate understanding of them. And that's okay. Like, that's just how life is sometimes. We can't be expected to know things, to know all things in a very deep, intimate levels. Like, that's just not how life is. I would love to have one of those superpowers where you just learn, like, just absorb information like crazy. But my real desire for a superpower, I can't stand it when people are like, oh, I would be like fucking the one above all. It's like, man, like, who wants to be like ultimate supreme God? Like, you get bored so quick. I want something more practical, something more like earthbound powers. And mine would kind of be like the Taskmaster. I love that guy. Where if I see or hear anything once, that I know how to do it masterfully, like forever. Like, it doesn't fade on me. So it's like I hear, Beethoven's Fifth, and I hear it, listen to the whole thing, and go, okay. And I just start banging that shit out on the piano. I sit there, I watch, go to like a lecture, stock analysts, economist or whatever, listen to that, maybe watch a couple videos or whatever. Boom, I fucking understand the economy to like a very, very high degree. Watch some dude fucking do this or that on YouTube. Anything I see or hear French being spoken for 5 minutes, I'm like, boom, I'm fucking fluent in French. That's what I want. I want like this mimicry power, but it doesn't fade. That's the key. But maybe it's got to come with like a hitch, So maybe if I absorb too many, then I start to go crazy or some shit like that. So I have to be careful of how many skills I acquire, and maybe I have to find somebody who can like erase parts of my mind so that I can like replace things, like, oh man, I'm tired of being like an expert gymnast. I really want to learn tap dancing. So, I go to my guy who can erase specific memories, and it's like, zoop, there goes gymnastics. Now you have space to learn tap dancing. Which, by the way, when I was a kid, I wanted to do that shit. I wanted to learn how to tap dance. It was from watching what was it? The Cosby Show. He was, like what was it? Phil Huxtable. He is Phil Huxtable? Or am I confusing? But anyways, yeah, dad, he was like doing this challenge with this tap dancing guy. Like it was, kind of like this weird side excerpt thing that they were doing. And I saw that. I was like, man, I want to tap dance. Sammy Davis Jr. watched all that shit. I was like, all right, anyways. Okay, so I hope this was educational for you guys. Things are complicated in the middle, right? They are, right? In the beginning, shit just is simple in the beginning. And where you're just like, hey, I can do this, I can do that. Girls are this, girls are that, whatever. And then you start getting into the middle. And the middle is where the complexity is, the intermediate, where there's so many variables you become aware of, so many skills, so many things to consider and to learn and unlearn and heal from and all this stuff. And if you keep going, eventually, all of that just starts fading away into a hum, or it becomes out of focus, right? Becomes muffled. And what comes into clarity is sort of what you saw at the beginning, right? Where the beginning was simple, where the end is just as simple. And you're like, oh, I don't even have to think about like technique and is this within BDSM or that, whatever. You're just, I'm a man interacting with a woman. And it gets as simple as that. And there's no real complexity to it. You're beyond the questions now. So it's like that, hey, what's up, baby? That's my good little subby there. It's like that Buddhist thing that like Bruce Lee kind of appropriated. And I think the Buddhist one says like, in the beginning, mountains are mountains and streams are streams. In the middle, mountains are more than mountains and streams are more than streams. And in the end, mountains are mountains and streams are streams. And so it's like in the middle there, that's when you start really learning stuff and practicing discernment and, this is the right technique. That's the wrong technique. This is the thing that, deliberating and learning and contrasting and, and if you keep going through all that, right, after a while, maybe it's age, I'm not sure, but you just start letting things go. You stop caring so much. But a lot of that stuff is kind of like been woven into you where you don't think about it anymore. Much like in martial arts, when you train so much, it just becomes part of your nervous system. And you're like, am I really punching, or is just my body reacting in the same way that my eyelids blink when I snap or I hear a loud boom? Right? It's like, am I really choosing to do this, or is I've just conditioned my nervous system to react in such a way that it's just, I don't know, it just was appropriate for that. And so it's the same way when interacting with women when it comes to creating, right? Creating scenes, creating frameworks, creating dynamics. It's like there's not a whole lot of thought put to it, until I'm saying like, okay, I want to create a very, very creative scene, very detailed scene. That's different because I'm employing it. I'm not like turning it on. It's like, okay, flip that switch and say, okay, I'm going to start planning this thing out. But I don't like live that way. Not on the day-to-day with any woman. I just flick it off and now it just becomes woman and man. So, but yeah, I hope this has been helpful for you. Because like I said, submission's simple, and then it becomes complex, and then it becomes simple. If she was here, she'd probably be able to say something about it, and say something about how it's simple but complex, but simple. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of these things are hard to talk about. It really is. Although I end up talking about them for 2 hours, but yeah, a lot of these things are hard to talk about. You know, it's like trying to talk about God or trying to talk about the Tao. It's like, yeah, sure, you can kind of get into some details, some technical stuff or whatever, but it's not really talking about it. It's something that you have to build within yourself. It's something that you experience, and it's something that you experience yourself, and that's a totally different thing, right? Because you're developing an awareness to yourself, like while something's happening, while it's developing, while it's being created. You know, this is, you guys just, you're leaving, what do they say? Like, you're leaving a lot of cash on the table, right? You're leaving a lot of chips on the table when you get so embroiled with manosphere shit, which is just fucking like a stone skipping across the water, trying not to get wet. I'm interacting only enough, but I don't want to submerge, right? Because then who and what I am actually gets tested. It gets challenged, right? But if I just skip across the surface of the water, I can make my claims. I can make my cute little one-liners. I can drop a little link to a study and just keep it moving. Just ding, 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 ding across the lake, right? But I'm telling you the truth, the real shit is when you stop moving, when you let that stone sink. You know, it's so great when you see like a flat stone sink, you know, it makes like a nice like ding, 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 ding. I love that shit. Have you ever dropped a flat stone or a coin into like a fish tank or something? You should not put coins in fish tanks. It has that kind of movement. And then it gets darker and darker and darker and darker, and then hits the bottom, duff, and the sediment kind of pulls up and rises, and then that sediment just slowly settles down again, right? And it's fucking dark, it's quiet. That's where the fucking truth is, in the dark and in the quiet, not in this fast-paced, distractive, energetic level of social media. That's not where the truth is. The truth is in dark silence. Because really, the only truth worth learning is the truth of yourself. That's really the only truly valuable truth that you can take and cash in on day after day, that you will take with you to your deathbed. That is the only one. When you're lying there about to die, that is the only truth that will have any kind of value. So as the grandpas say, put that in your pipe and smoke it. I think I get a little loopy as time goes on. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me here tonight. I'm going to be signing off. I appreciate your company. And please do stop by again. Take it easy. OJ's break.
scatter.